Hi, my name is Steve Mass, and I'm the President and Chief Innovation Officer here at Delvinio, which is a global research tech and data collection company. We're back again monitoring the interest of virtual millennials or animated personas during the COVID-19 outbreak. And I'm here once again with my good friends at Persona Panels. And today, Mike's actually got a bit of a surprise for you. We're actually going to look at one of the most talked about brands since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak. That would be Corona Beer. Mike is going to show you how the brand could quickly revise its messaging using animated personas. Mike, this should be an interesting one today. Over to you, my friend.
Thanks, Steve. Let's begin with an understanding of what animated personas are all about. They're built with machine learning in mind and can represent segments of consumers or any targeted group that is of interest to a company. Many times we'll take a company's segmentation data and then create animated personas. But if that isn't available, we can use other primary survey data and even qualitative findings. The bottom line is there are many ways to build animated personas. The key is that while traditional segments are built from data that ages over time and really isn't continually used for research projects for that matter, animated personas always represent data that is current. And in terms of what animated personas can do once they're built, they can look at a company's messages, concepts, and ideas and indicate interest as well as the importance of the specific information being reviewed, right down to the sentence that serves as the key element in the entire piece. It's quantitative in nature with a qualitative flair, with results that can be repeated as often as you want and seen immediately in an incredibly cost-effective way that firmly supports ROI. Today, we're going to take a look at 6 of our animated personas that represent millennials or Generation Y. Companies like the rest of us are not behaving like they typically do. This is evident in the way they are trying to promote their products, while not losing sight of the fact that COVID-19 is dominating most aspects of people's lives these days. As such, their messages in TV, print, and social media can be very different in nature. One company that was minding its own business one day and hurt the next in ways that are almost unimaginable is Corona Beer, for obvious reasons. If there is one company that is examining its messaging with great scrutiny, it's no doubt Corona. As such, we had our 6 millennial animated personas look at their messaging through various TV spots in 3 different ways. First, we went back to a TV spot that was prior to the onset of COVID-19. Second, we looked at a TV spot that's currently running. And third, we took that current TV spot and modified it with some new language to see how we could impact interest scores through our millennial personas. We're going to show you results from the pre-COVID-19 and COVID-19 TV spots, but then we're going to go live and input our new language into the system and see what kind of results we get. The findings will show that while millennials are many times thought of as one homogeneous group, in reality, there are important differences between various segments of millennials that should not be ignored. To the right, we can see the pre-COVID-19 TV spot for Corona Beer, and it's all about how to enjoy the summer with obviously no mention of anything connected to the pandemic. In reviewing this content language, millennial moms were the outlier in terms of interest, as you can see with 23%, with the other millennial animated personas being under 10% interest. So this covers the pre-COVID-19 Corona TV spot. Now we're going to switch to a more recent TV spot, which you see to the right. The focus is on the times, including the mention of a donation made by Corona. Looking at the findings, 4 of the 6 millennial animated personas had greater interest in it than the pre-COVID-19 communication from Corona to the left. The largest jumps in interest from pre-COVID-19 to the present Corona TV spot belong to Do the Right Thing millennials. They jumped from 4% to 13%. Millennials in name only, they went from 5 to 13%. They were followed by millennial moms going from 23% to 29%, and Don't Call Me a Millennial going from 9 to 14%. Tech geek millennials had the same level of interest, 4%, in the pre-COVID-19 and current TV spots, while environmental millennials had actually slightly less interest, 3%, in the current TV spot compared to the pre-COVID-19, where they had 4%. Before we go to the live demo, let's turn to the message that was revised by us, and here it is. As you can see, we added the following sentence in green. And while travel may be something to dream about while social distancing is now a way of life, never forget we're only an arm's length away from a good time with friends and family. Let's now enter this new message into the system, have our 6 millennial animated personas review it, and let's see what the interest scores look like. The first thing I'm going to do is create a message name for our exercise, and we'll simply call it Corona. Next, I'm going to hit the Create button. Now we've entered the information. We're going to call our exercise Corona, and now we will cut and paste our particular message into the system. And as you can see in here, we've added this new sentence. And let's see what happens when we look at it with respect to these 6 millennial animated personas. Now we'll check off the particular personas we're interested in, which happen to be our 6 millennial animated personas. And once I hit the Save button, we'll now begin to see the new interest scores that are coming out for this particular message. And here they are. So for example, if we take a look at millennials in name only, which had a 37% interest score, if we look at what we did pre-COVID, the interest score was 5%. It jumped to 13% when we looked at the COVID message. And now by making this slight change, we've increased interest all the way up to 37%. For environmental millennials, they're now at 22%. That's a jump from 4% pre-COVID, 3% COVID, all the way up to 22 now. So again, a pretty significant increase in interest simply by changing one sentence and adding it to the original message. When we look at Don't Call Me a Millennial, now we've got a 47% interest score. The original interest for the pre-COVID was only 9%. It moved to 14%, and then a huge jump to 47% through the insertion of that sentence. Tech Geek Millennials, which are at 13%, had the smallest jump. They were originally about 4% and moved to 13%. Millennial Moms are 68%, a huge jump going from 23% pre-COVID to 29% COVID, and then all the way to 68% as a result of simply modifying the language of this message. And finally, Do the Right Thing Millennials at 33%, again, a significant increase going from 4% to 33%. This shows how quickly, how easily you can modify a message, and you can do this over and over again to see how interest is being impacted. This was simply one modification that we made, but you could be working with this message and doing iteration after iteration simply to see how high you could get the interest score, and then being able to look at the language that caused that increase that determines ultimately, is this something that you may want to go with when you're thinking about your messaging for a product.
Wow, Mike, again, it's just fascinating how fast and real time you can actually tweak those messages. Again, anybody that wants a copy of this report or get a free demo from Mike and the Persona Panels folks, please feel free to sign up. Until then, stay safe and stay well.